Universal basic income.
Universal basic income.
From a society perspective, I think it's time to start considering what are we going to do.
So what is a universal basic income and why it's become such a buzzword in the age of AI? I'm Samantha Johnson and this is Digital Dilemma. How it works is pretty simple. A UBI is a government program where every adult gets regular cash payments, regardless of their financial situation or employment status. In the last 20 years, countries like the US, Canada, Finland, and India have all been experimenting with UBI programs. The idea isn't new, so why the buzz now? Well, these programs could prove to be a lifeline for millions of people around the world as artificial intelligence increasingly starts putting more people out of work.
To me, it's a lot like the pandemic situation of 2020, where a sudden event has occurred and now suddenly you've got a large percentage of your population that does not have a way to make any money. And that right there is an argument for why governments and people need to start thinking about this now. AI is upon us. We've already seen some early signs of the potential in terms of job losses that we may see from this.
When it comes to AI and the labour market, Elon Musk has a brutally simple message.
I think we are seeing the most disruptive force in history here. We will have for the first time something that is smarter than the smartest human. It's hard to say exactly what that moment is, but there will come a point where no job is needed. You can have a job if you want to have a job for sort of personal satisfaction, but the AI will be able to do everything.
Governments have been talking to the AI industry to better understand what's going on, but have they done enough? Most of their focus have been on things like data rights, privacy, and fighting disinformation. Canada has made some progress with UBI legislation. The government's Standing Committee on National Finance is reviewing a bill that would guarantee a livable basic income for all Canadians over the age of 17. But while legislation slowly goes through its paces, AI companies are moving fast. And it isn't just generative AI that's threatening people's jobs. Workforces are also facing real competition from AI-enabled humanoid robots.
Already been a lot of pilots announced. We know Figure announced a pilot with BMW a few months ago. Mercedes just revealed that they're using the Apptronik robot, and they're going to be using it for a pilot in their plans to look at it. NIO is also using a bot over in China that they've shown some pilots that are doing on the line. So that's the natural place that this is going to happen. It's going to happen in the factories. It's probably going to be happening in a lot of the automotive manufacturers, and then eventually scale down to tier and others.
Figure is a California-based robotics company. Its deal with BMW calls for the deployment of multiple AI-enabled humanoid robots at its plant in the US by the end of the year. Each bot could work 18-hour shifts, without breaks, obviously. So it's easy to see how companies will be looking at ways to improve their bottom line by getting rid of people. The cost benefits of replacing humans with generative AI and AI-enabled bots are expected to be significant.
So from having talked to some of the CEOs, they're all pretty confident that by 2030, the industry in general will probably have produced at least 1 million humanoid bots. And this is from talking to a couple. So, some rosier predictions, people are expecting that, you could have 100 million.
Now, if tax-paying citizens lose their jobs to AI, a UBI program starts to look pretty good, right? But how are governments that are losing all that income tax revenue going to be able to afford a UBI? Could an AI tax or a robot tax help governments raise funds to pay for UBI schemes? Or how about new forms of taxation for people in highly skilled jobs?
As you can imagine, there's a lot of resistance to the idea of a new tax. And the other interesting thing is that the political will could change rapidly as well. So while their populations right now maybe don't like the idea of UBI because they're concerned about what additional taxes might mean, once people start to lose their jobs, that will shift rapidly. And so I think politicians need to be aware of the potential for that and begin thinking about this now.
Keep in mind that AI will disrupt different countries differently. It will partly depend on a country's economy, manufacturing capabilities, or whether they can create and train their own AI models.
The focus will also be in many ways on how do you kind of capture the maximum value at this stage where AI is growing. Like, how do you not get left behind? Because if a lot of economic value is going to be in that transition, how do you ensure that you get your fair share of that? But also, I think for a big challenge will be ensuring that universality of coverage, like especially in countries where not everyone has access to formal banking channels or a bank account.
There may not be a one-size-fits-all solution to this massive disruption that's expected because of AI. But what is clear is that no solution is possible without the buy-in of the AI industry, policymakers, and the people being directly affected.